Don't go to the UAE. The warning didn't come from random headlines. It came from governments like the United States and Australia. Cold, direct, unemotional. A place once sold as the safest luxury escape on Earth is now being quietly reframed as a risk zone, travelers checking phones. This is how collapse begins, not with explosions, but with hesitation. Because tourism doesn't die when planes stop. It dies when confidence disappears. Dubai was never just a city. It was a machine powered by movement, flights landing every minute, people arriving from every corner of the world. Not oil, not gold, movement. That was the real engine. And now, that engine is stalling. When airspace becomes uncertain, everything else begins to freeze. Flights get rerouted, airlines pull back, insurance costs surge, and suddenly, a global hub starts to feel like an isolated island. Gulf region. At the center of it all sits Dubai International Airport, once handling nearly 95 million passengers a year, a symbol of unstoppable global connectivity. Now imagine that same place, without movement. No people, no arrivals, no departures. Just silence echoing through steel and glass. This isn't just an airport slowing down, this is the lifeline being cut. Because Dubai's entire identity depends on one thing: access. Take that away. And the illusion starts to crack. Luxury hotels still stand tall, the skyline still shines, the Burj Khalifa still pierces the sky. But without people, they become empty symbols. Even fear doesn't need to be constant. It just needs to exist. Missile risks, drone threats, regional instability. That's enough to change behavior globally. And once behavior changes, money follows, trips get canceled, plans get delayed, investments get reconsidered. This is the part no one talks about. A global hub is powerful, but only as long as it stays connected. The moment that connection weakens, everything becomes fragile. Dubai sold the world a promise. You can always come here. But what happens when suddenly you can't? Because in the end, this isn't about planes, it's about trust. And right now, that trust is being tested. So ask yourself this: what happens to a city when its doors to the sky slam shut? What is the value of luxury if safety is uncertain? That question is now quietly echoing through Dubai. Not in headlines, but in decisions. Because the collapse doesn't begin with buildings. It begins in the mind. Tourists are no longer dreaming about Dubai. They're reconsidering it. Trips are being canceled, flights postponed, vacations redirected to safer destinations. And the most important shift? The ultra-wealthy are stepping back. Not because they can't afford Dubai, but because they don't want to take unnecessary risks. Because for them, luxury is not just comfort. It's certainty. Dubai is now facing a dangerous transformation. From a place people aspired to visit to a place people begin to question. This is where perception changes everything. A luxury destination becomes a high-cost uncertainty zone. And once that shift happens, reversing it is almost impossible. Look at the signals. Rents are still high, but demand is weakening. Hotels are lowering prices, something Dubai almost never had to do. Last-minute deals, discounted luxury suites, urgent offers to fill empty rooms. This isn't strategy, this is survival. And then comes the hidden cost: travel insurance, premiums rising, coverage becoming stricter. Suddenly, even planning a trip feels like a financial gamble, because now you're not just paying for luxury, you're paying for risk. And that changes everything. Here's the truth most people don't understand. Wealthy people are not afraid to spend money. They spend millions without hesitation. But there is one thing they absolutely avoid: looking foolish, spending money in a place that feels unstable. Doesn't feel like luxury. It feels like a mistake. And once that emotion enters the equation, the entire system starts to break. Because luxury only works under one condition: freedom. Freedom to move. Freedom to relax. Freedom to feel safe. Take that away, and luxury becomes meaningless. What's the point of a 7-star experience? If you're constantly checking the sky, what's the value of a beachfront dinner? If your mind is somewhere else? This is the turning point, where Dubai stops being a dream and starts becoming a question. Because when movement is restricted and safety is uncertain, luxury doesn't just lose value, it becomes a liability. And now the real question is no longer about price, it's about perception. Would you still choose Dubai if everything looks perfect but doesn't feel safe? Because in the end, would you really pay premium prices just to feel unsafe? A mall without people is just empty glass. That's the reality slowly unfolding in Dubai. Not chaos, not collapse, but something far more dangerous: silence. Walk into the Dubai Mall today, and you'll feel it instantly. The space is still breathtaking, the architecture still flawless, but something is missing. The crowds are gone. No long queues, no rushing tourists, no energy. The familiar waves of visitors from Russia, China, India have quietly disappeared. Empty space, and with them, something much bigger has vanished: spending. Because here's the truth: Dubai doesn't run on oil. It runs on consumption, buying, spending, indulging, displays. That is the real engine of this city. And now, that engine is shutting down. Luxury sales are dropping, not slowly, but sharply. High-end brands are seeing fewer customers. Empty stores are becoming the new normal. And even if people want to spend, they can't always find what they want, because supply chains are breaking, goods are delayed, shipments are uncertain, inventory is inconsistent. A city once known for having everything is now struggling to maintain availability. Restaurants feel it too. Tables once booked weeks in advance are now available instantly. Staff wait, lights stay on, but the customers don't come. This isn't business as usual. This is survival mode. But the biggest shift isn't physical, it's psychological. People are no longer thinking about what to buy. They're thinking about what to save. Spending stops, saving begins, and fear slowly replaces lifestyle. This is how an economy quietly weakens. Not through destruction, but through hesitation. Because Dubai depends on two invisible forces: confidence and consumption. And right now, both are collapsing at the same time. When people lose confidence, they stop spending. And when spending stops, the entire system feels it. This is no longer just about tourists. This is something deeper, something more structural. Because when the economy slows down like this, residents start asking questions. Why am I here? Is it still worth it? And that's when the real shift begins. Not in malls, not in hotels, but in homes. Because this is no longer just a tourism problem. It's becoming something much bigger, a residency crisis. The real collapse isn't tourists leaving, it's residents escaping. That's the shift most people don't see. Because tourists come and go, but residents, they are the foundation. Dubai was built on expats. Nearly 90% of the population comes from outside. They are the workforce, the consumers, the system itself. And now, that system is changing, not loudly, not suddenly, but quietly, strategically. Because people are entering what economists call defensive mode, spending less, saving more, preparing for uncertainty. Cash is no longer just money, it's security. And when people start thinking like this, you know something has shifted deeply. Highly skilled workers, the backbone of Dubai's non-oil economy, are beginning to reconsider their future. Some are planning exits, others are waiting, watching. But very few are expanding their lives here anymore. At the same time, business confidence is weakening, companies are slowing hiring, investments are being delayed, expansion plans are being paused. This is how an economy contracts, not through panic, but through caution. And in the middle of all this, the government steps in. Emergency support packages, roughly 1 billion AED injected into the system, fee reductions, financial relief, support for struggling sectors. Hotels are told, do not evict stranded guests, even those who can't afford to stay. On the surface, this looks like control, like stability. But underneath, it tells a different story, because systems only need rescue when they are under pressure. And this pressure is not temporary discomfort, it's structural stress. Here's the truth. You can inject money into an economy, you can lower costs, you can support businesses, but there is one thing you cannot buy back instantly: trust. And right now, that trust is fragile. So Dubai now stands at a crossroads, two possible futures. One, a rapid recovery. If stability returns, if flights normalize, if confidence is restored. Dubai rises again, stronger, faster, just like it always has. But the second path is slower, quieter, more dangerous, a prolonged decline, where uncertainty lingers, where people continue leaving, where trust never fully returns. And that is the real risk, not collapse in a day, but erosion over time. So now the final question remains, is this just a pause, or the beginning of the end of a global illusion?